The inspector again voices his socialist beliefs when he says, because what happened to her then may have determined what happened to her afterwards, and what happened to her afterwards may have driven her to suicide. A chain of events. Here we can see that he is quite a pragmatic character, with also a strong sense of moral and social responsibility. Note how the responsibility theme emerges. This is one of the main themes throughout the play. Burling responds with, "Oh well, put like that, there's something in what you say. Still, I can't accept any responsibility. If we were all responsible for everything that happened to everybody else we'd had anything to do with, it would all be very awkward, wouldn't it?" Here we can see his adamant refusal to accept responsibility. I can't accept any responsibility. Also note his pompous, selfish ideology and his capitalist selfishness. Note how Eric chips in, "By Jove, yes, and as you were saying, Dad, a man has to look after himself." This reminds the audience of the significance of the inspector's entrance. Also note how Burling dismisses Eric's statement, "Yes, well, we needn't go into all that." Here we can see that Burling's only concern is his familial obligation and making a profit. He also tries to hush Eric, again attempting to avoid a scandal. "Oh, just before you came, I'd been giving these young men a little good advice. Now about this girl, Eva Smith, I remember her quite well now. She was a lively, good-looking girl, country-bred, I fancy, and she'd been working in one of our machine shops for over a year. A good worker, too. In fact, the foreman there told me he was ready to promote her into what we call a leading operator, head of a small group of girls. But after they came back from their holidays that August, they were all rather restless, and they suddenly decided to ask for more money. They were averaging about 22 and 6, which was neither more nor less than is paid generally in our industry. They wanted the rates raised so that they could average about 25 shillings a week. I refused, of course." Here we can see allusions to the workers' strikes, and this strives to emphasise his capitalist mindset. We can see that he is self-serving, he is all about making a profit, he is materialistic and greedy, filled with avarice. Also note how he dismissively uses the alliteration "rather restless" to emphasise the fact that these young women wanted more money. The inspector questions, "Why?" and note Burling's shock. As a member of the upper classes, he would not be used to being questioned in any way. But here we see the inspector questioning him. "Did you say why?" This is because, as someone of a lower station, it would be unlikely that the inspector would question him. His wealth and pomposity would see to that. Again, however, the inspector is unfazed. "Yes, why did you refuse?" "Well, Inspector, I don't see that it's any concern of yours how I choose to run my business. Is it now?" Here we can see that the inspector uses tactics that work for each character. Note the way he deals with Burling compared to how he will deal with Sheila later when she enters. The inspector responds with, "It might be, you know." Then Burling responds with, "I don't like that tone." Note the clipped responses of both men as they are in direct opposition with each other. Priestley deliberately juxtaposes the two men to emphasise their opposing ideologies. However, it's obvious that the inspector is control, as he is completely emotionless, unlike Burling, who is clearly getting riled. The inspector responds with, "I'm sorry, but you asked me a question." Here we can see his clipped response yet again. However, he's unfazed.